Professor Anton, he had a video called he was talking about imagination and truth and possibilities. That video will be down there. I want to touch on this whole thing about imagination. I've kind of talked about it, but I haven't really used the word imagination when referring to it. Professor Anton, in this video, he was just talking about how we are creatures who are imagining. We are creatures who like to imagine things. We like to think about possibilities. We like to think about things that can happen. And that if we didn't have this, then we would kind of have problems if we didn't have some sort of imagination. And Professor Anton was referring to imagination as a good thing, which I think he's half right when he says that imagination is a good thing, that it is, inherently good for. Well, he did say inherently good. He's just said that he kind of described this whole thing about imagination to be a good thing for a human. I don't know. I'm thinking about imagination in two different ways. We are always going to be, as humans, we are always going to imagine things. We're always going to imagine about future possibilities, things that can end up being true. We can fantasize about all these things. We can think about all these things possibly happening. We can think about all these things. We can, invest all of our time in imagination. But a problem is here in imagination. I've talked about Natan's things where we're always dispersed and we're not mindful of anything that is going on. I've talked about how we are not self-sufficient. We're not living by prudence, by Epicurus. I've talked about how we're not exactly conscious of everything that is going on, because the reason being is that we're all investing all of our time in imagination. So we can be eating a tangerine and be thinking about such and such a thing, when that can be all right, I think, but it's not. It's mindfulness. It's not mindfulness at all. And I think some imagination like this can be okay. It's definitely okay to think about future possibilities for yourself, to better yourself, to make your life better. But I think everyone at some point in their life goes too far with this imagination. People go way too far with it. By going too far, I mean people do it all the time, invest all of their life in it. I mean, I'm not saying that they choose to. I'm saying that it happens because they get too wrapped up. They get too wrapped up in future possibilities, and get too wrapped up in things that can happen, and get too wrapped up in things that are not even actual yet. When they have things going on around them right now, which are the things that they need to be most concerned with. Things that are going on now are things that they need to be most concerned with. And if you have this as your top priority, then you can be mindful. You can have Epicurus' prudence. You can look at things in all the ways that one should look at things, in my opinion, and you can be all right. And then second can be, imagination, because you're trying to definitely better yourself and make a better life for yourself. But if you invest all of your time in this, then you're going to waste your life, I think. Because if you aren't living in the moment, and people say the phrase living in the moment a lot, living in the moment, and I think that's a very important phrase to take to heart. We should all be living in the moment. I mean, there's always going to be some times where we're not living in the moment because we're thinking about a lot of things, but we should all live in the moment most of the time. And if we're not living in the moment most of the time, then we're wasting our life. Because let's say we have a person who's in business who gets a job as a intern at a business and thinks about, wow, I would love it if I got a promotion. I would love it if I got a promotion. I would have more money. I would have all these things. Might get more women. More women might like me because I have a higher position. And then he gets it finally after being an intern for so long. He finally gets gets this promotion, and he has more money. He has more responsibilities and all this stuff. Maybe has some more women who actually like him because of his position. But at the same time, he's probably thinking about, wow. He might like this position, maybe a month or so, and then maybe 2 months. I don't know. But then eventually we'll start thinking about, hey, what about this position? I'd love to have this one right here. I would have way more money. I would be the boss of people actually, and I would have more things, maybe more women even. It might things might be going better. And after a while he gets that one, and then after another little while he starts thinking about the next one, and finally he thinks about becoming CEO. And I don't know, it's just it's a big train wreck, I think, because if you're thinking about things that are not even actual, then you're wasting your life. Like I said, there's always going to be a little bit where you're doing that because you want to think about the future a little bit and try to better yourself. But that's a train wreck it's a train wreck of a life if you're investing all of your life in imagining things. So I don't know. That's my little rant on hating on imagination. Thank you.